to order for December 12th, 2023. It is at 6:31. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. I'd like to start by everyone rising, take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item is review of the agenda. Is there any questions, additions to the agenda?
Anything about us just giving a quick report about our meetings this weekend at the KSBA Winter Symposium? Just a quick synopsis about what we were.
It's not on. Would you like to add that?
Yeah, just
under
a,
internal board business.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a quick, what we
Would
did.
you like to lead that?
Yeah, I'll be happy
Okay.
to. Yeah.
So, how would you like to word that? Just a
Review of
the
Winter
case.
KSBA Winter
Okay.
Symposium.
Review of the winter KSBA symposium. Okay. Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Ritchie,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hall. In favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. Next is consider approval of minutes for the November 28, 23 regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Ritchie. I'll second. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Do we need to make a motion to excuse Ben? We've got away from that, and I don't know.
We haven't all year.
Just
Unless, do we need to do that?
Not that I'm aware of. If there's an issue with, I think it's 3 consecutive absences, and there can be an issue with a board member, but since we're at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It may be something we look into for next. We
Yeah.
used to do it every time, but it's fine. Okay.
Okay. Next is Clark County Public Schools Board of Education recognitions.
So we have some pretty amazing teachers, students, and staff here with us tonight, like we do every month, but these 3 ladies hold a special place in my heart, so I want them to come up first. So Miss Lindsay, Miss Lauren, and Miss Kara, if you all would please come up. And I want them to kind of share their experience. So at Baker Intermediate and also at Robert D. Campbell Junior High, we have our coffee cart, and I believe these 2 started this, is that correct? And so I kind of want them to share how they started this project, our community partners, and just kind of give you all a bit of overview. And then I'd like to recognize the rest of their staff and their students.
So at RDC, we started the coffee cart in 2019, and we worked in collaboration with in Bourbon County, up here in Bourbon County.
It was Ruth Toy's wife. She is a OT, and she started a coffee cart there, and through some just friends, we kind of initiated it through the help of Miss Angie and Positively Java and Creative Coffee here in town.
So we have a community partner here, Creative Coffee Nursery. She supplies us with all of our coffee, which is amazing. And she's come in and taken some CBIs there. She's come to our classroom and given us some pointers when we weren't doing the greatest. So it's been awesome. Our kids get to do some functional things in the classroom that we wouldn't have been able to do without starting a coffee cart.
Can you ever come up so we can clap for? We like clapping for people. You got it, okay.
And then I'll let Lindsay kind of talk about how she started at Baker.
We followed in RDC's footsteps and started maybe a year later with the Baker Brew House. And Madison, again, and I, the speech therapist at Baker,
help support our students every week to deliver coffee. It's good to see some RDC baristas still at RDC now.
So I just wanted them to kind of share their experience because they are, these ladies with our support staff and also the students are the ones who put this together for all of us. So we get an email from them and we can order for Friday. So we were going to try to do like a coffee truck here for you all, but we would just like to invite you all if you're ever out and about to come get coffee with either of the rooms at Baker or Cable. They can send you all a link to come by and see what it is. It's really neat. It's kind of like if you've had a rough week or you just want to, want to have something, it's great to go into their classrooms and kind of see what amazing things they do for our students in Clark County. So again, I just want to spotlight them, but now I will make it official and do the correct order with the certificates. So Lindsay, I have Baker first, so orders, if you to help me make sure these folks are here. So of course, ready, Mr. Howard? Miss Lindsay Wagner. And if I call her Miss Cottle, it's because who she was when I met her.
That's what I
Master McDaniel. You guys okay? All right, I saw, sorry. Is Weston here, Dalton? Okay, I saw Carter, correct? Yeah. Carter, let me find Carter. Troy? Troy here? All right, Troy Bailey.
That's not me.
Roy? Carter?
We're gonna go see Mr. Howard.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Dress for the bar.
Mr. Howard, this is for Carter. Carter.
Mr. Carter, congratulations, sir. Oh, we'll get up here and take your time. Are you going to take
Okay, so that was our coffee cart team for Baker, and now I'd like to introduce our coffee cart team from Campbell. So we have Ms. Angela Thomas, who is one of our district occupational therapists. We have Ms. Lauren Whitaker. Ms. Kara Mounts. And then some of our coffee cart students or employees who deliver the coffees and take the money. We have Ms. Katrina Withrow.
I'm gonna stand on that side.
Stand over there.
Avery We have different.
There we go. Airplane. I saw it. Devin, come on up.
We have Aiden Westerdale.
Aiden.
And I'll do her with the teachers.
He's got his SpongeBob.
Oh, yes. Baby.
Say hi. Say hi.
Okay, here we go. Hey, hi.
CPS to have so many great community partnerships. We have Creative Coffees Roastery, and we have Debbie Hillman, who has been graciously worked with our staff.
There we go.
All right, for our next recognition, we've got the GRC boys golf team. They had an extremely successful season this year, finishing runner-up in the region, runner-up in the semi-state tournament, which is here in Winchester at the Country Club. And then they went on to the state tournament at Bowling Green Country Club and finished 6th in the state. So that's a pretty big accomplishment to finish, in the top 6 as a team in the entire state. So we're very proud of them. And you guys come up and we've got a certificate. Jason Patrick, the Jacob Settles, Evan Taylor, Blaine Hurley, Mike Taylor.
Oliver's not here, but I can get it for him.
Ready?
Yeah, yes, sir. We've also got one more recognition for a community partner, and that is the Winchester Country Club. We want to thank them for working with our golf team, and the guys practice out there, the boys and girls team. They host competitions out there. We've hosted tournaments. They hosted the semi-state, and we're a partner and very willing to do that, which is good for our golf team, for us to be able to host that. So we thank you for working with us and appreciate the partnership. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we've got one more special recognition. Are you next? We've got multiple left recognitions.
Nice
I'm going to turn to Mr. Kaysen.
Come on, LT. Nice recovery. Okay, I'll get up there and say.
We recently had our first ever inaugural astronomy and STEM bus night, and 2 of our staff members from the Technology and Department of Innovations Department organized this, led it, and just had an extremely great, abundant turnout from our community. It was a huge success, and it's something we're going to continue to do. And so we're going to recognize the 2 staff members that made this happen. And the first one is Chris McClellan. Chris, I just wanted to say, just because he put so much effort into this, I just wanted to say that Chris demonstrated remarkable passion and effort in orchestrating an event that not only educated but inspired students and families alike. His astronomy night helped to foster lifelong learning, promote the field of STEM education, and strengthen community bonds. Thank you, Chris. And this was not only an astronomy night, but it was also a STEM bus night, a night to recognize all the great things that are happening on our STEM bus. So the person in charge of our STEM bus was Jennifer Turley. While you're taking pictures, I'll say that We just wanted to recognize Jennifer for designing STEM Bus activities, bringing engaging, interactive, and hands-on experiences to the community. Through her efforts, Jennifer promotes inclusivity, sparks curiosity, and helps pave the way for a more technologically literate and empowered community. So good job, Jennifer and Chris.
And takes care of her neighbor that always has technology difficulties.
You're never in the picture.
That's true.
All right, ready?
The astronomy, it was really cool. I was out of town. I really wanted to bring my son, so I really hope you all do this again.
Yeah, we'll do it again probably when the weather's a little
Yeah.
warmer.
Yeah.
I mean, we were, for a November night, we were extraordinarily lucky with the weather.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure about this.
We're looking at where to put the observatory up on the hill up there, so.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
Just keep that in your.
I'll count on you to remind me, Jason.
Keep that in the back of your mind.
All right, so the last young lady we want to recognize has led our food services department for many years, is very well respected throughout the state of Kentucky. Is actually on state and national boards. And although she would love to come back to every board meeting from now until the history of the world, this may be her last one in her official capacity. So it's with all the warmth and love in my heart, I really want to recognize Ms. Becky Lowry. So we've got some of her colleagues that worked with her a long time. Anybody want to say anything? We love you. Okay.
Oh, I'm a speak for. Soon as everybody else stop hugging them. She gotta take a picture. Becky, we want to say, and I'm speaking for everybody, we want to thank you for your service. And we really appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you.
I mean, for all the years of up here with food, down here with food, where we gonna get it, when we gonna get it, whatever it took, you got that. Yes, we got that food to feed them kids, and we want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Let me come up with
Girls, Missy.
Yeah.
They're gonna come behind you. Oh, I represent. Are you saying? We were hot. Yeah, I know.
Go Cards.
All right, I believe that's all the recognition.
That's,
Okay.
for now, yeah.
Okay. Any public comments? No? Okay, thank you. Next up is Student Learning and Instructional Services, acknowledgement of the bar review for Campbell Junior High and George Rogers Clark High School. Mr. Kincaid, Toy, Smith, and Cook.
And I'm going to butcher the quote, but I'm going to try. I'm not a sports guy. I heard a quote one time. Someone said that a good coach can make a good team better, but a great coach takes a great team and lets them work. I'm not a great coach, but I am going to let Ms. Cook be able to brag on the great things that she's done at GRC this year. She's such an asset. And so when she's going over some of the data with you all, I just want to remind you that this is all freshman data that's been done with 25% more kids this year as well. So it's doing great things at the high school, and I'm going to step out of your way and let you work, man.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, we did implement a new curriculum this year with our freshmen and seventh graders in the district. It is called BAR. It stands for Building Assets and Reducing Risk. essentially, we team the kids, and instead of meeting in academic PLCs, we meet with teamed PLCs. So if I'm an algebra, English, social studies, and science teacher, we get together and talk about our kids, more so than talking about academics on a weekly basis. So it has a very big approach to looking at the children as a whole, looking at interventions that can be placed not only academically, but the things that can be put in, do they have issues getting to school? Do we need to provide different transportation? Just last week, we found a kid who couldn't see, was struggling to see in their classes, and we got him an eye appointment, and now the kid has glasses. Like, it's just little things like that that play a really, really big role in the overall educational process. So and I think Tiffany would say the same. Our district has implemented a lot of different things this year. We're doing Kagan, we've done some station teaching as well. So I don't want to say that VAR is the only reason for some of the trends that you're going to see in some of the data that's in front of you. But I feel pretty confidently that it's a lot of it. So just some behavior analysis. I won't go through all of this. In August, with our freshmen, we had significantly more behavior referrals than last year. Part of that could be that I started really strong with them. Like, I wanted them to understand that we meant business. We also put a cell phone policy in place at the high school this year, so a lot of the referrals that you're seeing are caused by that. But we went from last year having 28 office referrals with freshmen to this year in August we had 71. But you will notice that skipping class went way, way down. Obviously the electronic stuff went way up. And then September is a little more in line with what I was hoping to see. Total referrals last year in September, we had 82 with freshman students, and then this year we were down to 62. Once again, the electronic policy played a big role in that. Last year we had 41 skipping referrals with our freshmen in September, and this year we were down to 9. That's a really big deal. Yeah. I would account to a lot of that, when we talk about curriculum. Yes, we're talking about the children as a whole, but they're also getting to experience something called an I-time activity. So each week, and I hate to say that it's a SEL lesson, I would call it more leadership style, where kids are getting to talk to each other about things they like to do in school, things they like to do out of school. And our teachers are constantly looking at data. And I think teachers so often think that data is test scores. Data is what your kids like. Data is what your kids don't like. Data is what your kids want to do in the classroom and what they don't want to do. Data is who goes home to mom and dad. Data is who goes home, to grandma. So I think the overall approach is really helping kids want to be in the classroom more, and helping with our overall behavior. And then if you look at October, the same type of trend. Last year, 97 in the freshman class, and this year was 54. So overall, behavior is definitely down. Attendance rates are up. So we are averaging about a percentage point higher, in some months 2 percentage points higher than we were last year. And then I'm going to brag on the freshmen, I'm going to brag on my teachers, I'm going to brag on me and Mr. Toy and everybody. But the first 9-week failure rate was cut in half. So we went from a 14.29% to this year a 7.58%. Is this a touch screen? Is that fancy like this? No.
That'd be great though if we had that one.
I know, that'd be really cool. Just some big things, behavior, and I know Tiffany's going to speak to this too. We got to get our bus under control. The students, I feel like, are doing better in the building, maybe not doing better on the buses. So just figuring out systems that we can put in place. I know at GRC, we've been having a lot of discussions, how do we track our bus referrals and do those efficiently and timely. So those are some things that are coming to mind. And then I did mention that we teamed our students at the high school. And this particular year, there was a pretty big behavior balance issue. I looked last week just because we were talking about it. One of the teams had 270-something referrals and one had 20. So, just in the method that we used to do that this year, there was a behavior balance. So we're gonna have to really rethink the teaming process of how we get kids, put on GRNC teams, so. And then, next year, we're looking at implementing on top of all this, just a, foundation class for reading and math. And hopefully that'll help academically as well. So we're looking at any student who is 3 or more grade levels below on their iReady scores to put them in a reading and math foundations class. So that would take place of one of their electives. And the idea behind it is they would also be able to, I hate to say test out, but they would be able to, you know, show growth and then be able to take a half credit elective in the spring if they were to get out of that. And then I think, you know, those are big things. I could talk forever, I'm a talker, so I won't stand up here and just go and go and go. As far as, you know, a district vision, this is a 3-year implementation process. So the idea is, you know, Tiffany Smith has started it at 7th grade. So in 3 years, we'll be implementing the 7, 8, and 9 in the district. So there's 3 different volumes of the I-Time activities. So the idea is that by the time kids go through the BAR program, they will have completed every single BAR I-Time lesson. And then our teachers are also going to be getting some PD. So the freshman teachers will obviously get the most, but there's a couple on here addressing trauma in the classroom. That's going to be a professional development that we're going to be able to offer to all of the teachers in our building. So it's going to affect GRC in more than just the freshman class. But yeah, does anybody have any questions for me?
The dropout rate and failure rates is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Congratulations. I do have a question on the bus referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And you said do we not have a process?
So we do.
It says that there could be weeks before it's addressed, before
Yeah,
referrals are
and
addressed.
that's just me being really transparent as well. So at the high school, we use an employability system. It's called EOS. And that is where all of our teachers input referrals. So it goes into the EOS system and then that notifies the grade level administrator. At the bus garage, they put referrals straight into Infinite Campus. So, and it's an error because we're not used to looking there. So one solution, Gary Wasson is who inputs all bus referrals. One solution is just to give him a login to our employability system. Another solution is just to tell the assistant principals to get better at looking. You know, I think there's different options, but that's something that as a team that we're going to have to decide how to address and then move forward accordingly.
If it goes into Infinite Campus, does that give the parent access to see that bus referral?
I think so, yes. Now, all of our behavior referrals eventually get put into Infinite Campus. It's just the employability system that we use to track. We track bathroom passes with that. We track our PBIS, positive behavior incentives, in that system. And then actually Cheerico actually inputs everything into Infinite Campus for us. So it's not that they're not going there eventually, it's just the best ones are going there first. Instead of going through EOS.
I think it's important to engage the parents, and I know that
Absolutely.
sometimes that's not going to be possible. You might try. So,
Right.
but it should be if my child is misbehaving on the bus, I need to know that
You need to know
immediately,
immediately,
because
absolutely.
he's going to be talked to, and be corrected. But I doubt that he would do anything like that. But he loves the bus. He loves his bus driver and all that. That's good. Did you have more questions? Because I
I was just gonna say, it sounds obvious to me, but you all figured this out. It needs to be in one place.
Absolutely.
You don't need people going to 2 different places. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I have 2 things. The first one is, I know that vaping is a huge problem at the high school and the freshman class. I know that there have been several, where I work for a community partner, so I'm aware of some of the kids that end up having incidences with vaping, and most of the time I'm wondering if it's not the legal Delta 8 stuff coming into the school. Very dangerous stuff. Have you looked at the numbers on that? Are you able to track that?
We are. I did not put that in this.
Yeah.
I just honestly didn't feel like it was appropriate for.
I think
meeting,
it's I'm just highly concerned. I'm an LCSW, very concerned about the danger of this. it is very, the kids will, pass out. You all might have to call them and send them home, even, because of the medical part of it. I think the community needs to understand that even though it's legal, it is very dangerous for children.
Well, it's not legal for children.
Well, but it's legal to obtain, and then the kids
Absolutely,
take it
yeah.
and take it to school, and they sell them. And it's just on and on. And what the community needs to understand is it's not because you all aren't watching for it. It's because you don't know that they have it, and you can't smell it. So I think you all implementing, looking at the tardy or the, the skipping class, I'm wondering if it's what you all are doing with the bathrooms, if that's helping with that number. Because
It could be.
Because I know I was at the high school today with your wonderful freshman counselor, Miss Childers, and she let me use her key to use the restroom because I had to use the restroom. And that was on the second floor, so those kids can't go in there and bake, wherever that is. So it's very important. I've been pushing it behind the scenes, but I think we need to really, look at it to make, because it's just a very dangerous thing.
It is 100%.
Yeah. Now in the what do you call it? These weekly lessons. Is there any social emotional piece to it?
There is. So the BAR program doesn't advertise it as a social emotional program because not all of them are.
Right.
But there is definitely the SEL piece.
Right. Right, and I know you all, the counselors do a good job of getting referrals out to the community partners.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like the team, and when you know you're dealing with a freshman, you know who you need to call, and that worked out great.
Makes it easy.
Over the past few weeks. For our team, if we've needed to call, because we've had some things to help you all with. So.
And to speak to that, Ashley Childers has done an amazing job. I could not do any of this by myself. She has worked really hard with our freshmen as well. So.
Yeah, she's fabulous. Also, the Nest, the social workers in the Nest have been very helpful. So, no, I think this is great, and I can't wait to hear about the 7th grade when we get to hear about it. So,
any other questions for me?
Thank you.
Since Mr. Toy introduced Ms. Cook, I'll introduce Ms. Smith here. Ms. Smith is our building coordinator for BAR. She meets weekly with, Steve, what's his official title?
BAR coach.
He's our BAR coach. He's also the high school's BAR coach, right? So she meets weekly with him, gets a breakdown of what they're doing, what we're doing in the school. He gives tips and feedback. And it's a great, as Ms. Cook pointed out, and Ms. Smith will tell you here in a second, it's not just BAR. It's a lot of the stuff that the school system is doing right now that is improving and being intentional on what we're doing with our kids and how we're looking at our kids. We've looked at them as whole kids for a long time, but we're doing some more intentional things to hone in on what's going on with our kids and what needs our kids have. So I'm going to let Ms. Smith take it away. I get rambling if I don't have specific slides. So.
I'm very good at specifics, so we complement each other very well. So last spring, when RDC had the opportunity to tell you all about some things that we were doing in our plans, we shared like a vision for the future and what this year would look like and some things that we would improve on. So since then, large investments have been made across the board with BAR, with Kagan, with things that we've done in our building. And so we really want to take this opportunity to showcase BAR, but also follow up on some of the things that we shared with y'all in the spring, and then let you know about some of the things that are going on at school too right now. So this is kind of like a State of the Union-esque address versus a BAR summary only. So these are the 3 initiatives that we decided to really hinge our work around this year. The first thing we put a lot of work into was restructuring of our student handbook. You're going to hear a little bit about that. You'll hear about Kagan and how we've incorporated that in our building, and then finally we'll close with the BAR program. And just to reiterate what they said, it was really hard to pinpoint one thing. Like BAR is great, but to say our improvements is because of BAR, I would just be hesitant. There's a whole lot of factors that have played into making Campbell an even better place this year. So we're glad we get to share this with you. The first thing we'll talk about is our student handbook and how we worked really hard. I know the district released the digital handbooks for families to access online, which was awesome. If you recall in the spring, we talked about how the passion was making a handbook for kids. And even with the district handbook, we needed something more specific to our kids. Something we could teach them, something that was comprehensive of our policies that mattered to them. So we worked on a cardinal code. So it's a condensed handbook made specifically for students, highlighting policies and procedures that matter most to our student body in our building. So it's written in student-friendly language. Nothing's over probably a 5th grade reading level. So it's easily understood by students and families across the board. And the coolest part about the Cardinal Code is that we taught it intentionally for the first 11 days of school. So the first 11 days, kids were basically drilled on all the things. They were taught and drilled. We embedded activities into instruction, so it wasn't just a sit and get. Kids had the opportunity to hear policies and procedures and then practice them in activities. So we did some competitions and we did some rewards. It was really neat. And it's even neater to see the kids who participated when they do wind up in our office. They can come in and they can tell me what I'm getting ready to do, which is really kind of cool. That's something that we haven't seen before. Mr. Kincaid conveyed all of this to families through his weekly principal-parent emails multiple times. So we really tried to get our families engaged in our policies and procedures in the building so that when they do get phone calls, whether they're good or bad, they can pretty much anticipate where it's going. So that's the first real big change that we saw in the building this year.
And it's one of those things, you assume that kids and parents go home and read those things at home, because everybody does and signs them. You know, I know I've done it every year with my children, read thoroughly all those papers. Nobody, you know, very few people do. So we thought, what better way than to teach it to them, hand it to them, and then when they come and sit in one of our offices, we can pull it out and say, remember when you signed that you read here on page 3, our bullying procedures, here's a reminder, and then we're going to give this to you, and you're going to take it home and show it to mom and dad tonight. So it's been really nice to just overflow them with all the information that they should have had already.
Yeah, and it's fun to whip that bad boy out when they're in there for the second time and be like, remember when we talked about this already? So it's very helpful. It helps hold them accountable and us accountable too, to be consistent. The next thing that we'll touch on is the bullying. One policy we worked on really hard to outline for students and families was the bullying policy. That's always a concern for a lot of people. We intentionally designed our policy and our activities to align with what the true definition of bullying is. So that was nice. And one thing that we did was begin charting reports of bullying. So you can see on the slide, 51 events were charted for 7th grade on November 30th when this was submitted. And those 51 events are any time a kid came to myself or Ms. Dameron, our 7th grade counselor, and said, so-and-so's bullying me. Before we ever even investigated it, we charted it because we wanted to know exactly how many times that was happening throughout the day. 26 of those events were substantiated, meaning they happened, whatever it was, actually happened. But there were only 4 events where this occurred again. So that was interesting for us. And there have not been any second recurrences at all. So that's, I think that's pretty good.
Do you find that the student body is more willing to come and report bullying, since you all taught this over the first, for 11 days?
Yeah.
Than in the past?
I feel like they are. Our counselor has a phenomenal relationship with our kids too. And then, we try to have that relationship so that kids know they can come to us. And I think they're comfortable being able to do that. We work really hard to teach them, like, you're not a snitch and we're not going to rat you out with your buddies. We're going to protect you in that way. So I do think that they're pretty comfortable coming to us, especially because they're taught the procedure and they basically know what we're going to do. So
I think it's good to educate them, the kids and the parents, that kids are mean in 7th and 8th grade. That doesn't mean everybody's getting bullied. If I say you're ugly, that's mean. I'm not being a bully, I'm just being mean. And so I think that's key on the 4 recurrences and 0 second recurrences. That's when you really have a bully. I continue to bother you, to harass you. That's bullying, not just somebody was mean today. And so I think getting that education that, you don't have to yell bullying all the time,
Yeah.
Just point out when somebody's not being nice to you, and let's work on being nice.
Yeah, I think that's a good, good thing to point out there. Because you're right. That age
Our kids
group is
mean, yes.
mean.
Do we have a rampant bullying
Yeah.
issue? No. You know, I think that's an easy one to fall back on a lot of times is, oh, it's just bullying.
And the BARD program kind of inspired the charting of events because part of the block meetings or team meetings is not just academics, it's behavior as well. So if a kid keeps showing up on a chart report, like obviously we need to talk about them. And this has been super helpful, like Mr. Kincaid was talking about follow through. When you talk to kids about kids bullying them and kids being mean to them is everything to the kid. So this has helped us in our follow through. It's often hard to remember an event that happened late August when a second event happens in November. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the details. And this has really helped us be on top of making sure we remember those events. So super helpful in a lot of different ways. The next initiative is the Kagan Cooperative Learning Initiative. We have visited 144 different classrooms in the beginning of November, and 84% of those had evidence of Kagan being used. Class building and team building activities align super duper well with our BARD program. So that was really neat to see. It's not easy to build a classroom culture conducive to being vulnerable in middle school, but between Kagan Cooperative Learning, the class builders, the team builders, between our BARD program, it is really impressive. So the work our teachers have put into implementing these things to make our classrooms a place where kids can be vulnerable and truly learn is real impressive. And I would invite you all to come in and check it out. It is pretty cool. The next slide starts to highlight our BARD program in 7th grade. So it's last but certainly not least. There's two major components that Emily touched on, the I-Times, which are used to just help build a good learning environment so that kids are comfortable and they're able to learn best. And then our block meetings that engage teachers, administrators, community members when appropriate in academics and behavior. Block meetings were challenging for us. We are not teamed. I know 9th grade is teamed. We are not a team school. So it has been really fun to try some different things and trying to get these block meetings up and going. I know that just recently we were approved to give our teachers a little stipend for staying extra at the end of every, week to incorporate these, so we appreciate that quite a bit. On a personal note, when I heard about BARD, I thought, okay, here we go, we're ready. It's a package program. How good could it be, right? But I'll tell you, the more I'm involved, the more I've realized, yeah, it's a package program, all right, but man, it's different. It's different than most package programs you see. It doesn't just give you the curriculum. It does that, and it's great. But it doesn't just give it to you, like it gives you a person who I get the pleasure of meeting with every single week for about an hour. And whether we talk about how to implement I-Times or how we can plan for next year so that we can get block meetings off the ground, it is a package program that actually comes with a person who appears to truly care about our building and want to make it better. So that helped sell me on it quite a bit. It's not just a here, figure it out. It's a here, figure it out, and here's a person to help you. And he's the most consistent person I've ever seen. So we're tickled about that. Like Emily said, it's really hard to pinpoint like one catalyst for improvement. That BARD is definitely up there. We'll start diving into the data. This is just a breakdown of some statistics. The lines in the second row are broken down by events that happen on campus and then events that happen on the school bus. Our ISAP teacher, Mr. Ashburn, diligent about reporting school-wide behavior data to us, and BARD really gave us the opportunity to dig further and deeper into the data overall. So these statistics are for 7th grade only, and they look, at first glance you think, okay, that looks pretty good, but you're probably thinking, all right, well, what about last year? Like, how does it compare? So if you flip to the next slide, we have decreased our behavior referrals by 59% from last year to this year. So And then not only have we decreased our behavior referrals by 59%, we've decreased our out-of-school suspensions by 30%. So we're using different means of consequences and reteaching other than just suspending kids. So that's positive too. And then here's kind of our 3-year timeline. BAR is a 3-year program, and our coach has been really good about understanding, like, our structure isn't necessarily set up perfectly for BAR, but he's helped us navigate that a little bit. We're all visionaries over at Campbell. We'll all talk about our 3-year, 5-year, 10-year visions. So this is kind of our 3-year vision in regard to BAR. One of the major shifts that we're gonna have to make is between departmentalization, which is what we're doing now, and then moving to teams. So we're working on that, working on master schedules for next year and that kind of thing. And it's really helped being able to talk to Emily quite a bit, like 9th grade is teamed. So we actually we got to have a really good conversation last week about some things that are working at GRC and learning how we can hopefully make it work at Campbell next year. And then the very last thing that we'll touch on is just maintenance and improvement. So after every break, we reteach our Cardinal Code to kids. And on January 3rd, it'll be like the first day of school all over again. We've not decided if we're gonna put them through the 11-day ringer again or not, but it'll be close.
11 days.
Yeah, 11-day ringer. Our next kind of big goal is to coordinate a shared vision with our Department of Transportation in regard to positive behavior supports on students' rides to and from school. That's something Emily touched on. More than anything, like, we want to empower the drivers. Like, we want them to know, like, hey, here's some things that you can do, here's some things that we can do, and this is when you need us, and here's some things you can do without us. So we're gonna hopefully start a real good conversation and try to get us a behavior matrix created for our buses. We use one at Campbell, and it is super helpful to teachers to know, what rights they have as teachers, to assign consequences and some options for them. It's worked real good for us in classrooms, so we hope to kind of filter that down to other departments in the district. But we can't do it by ourselves.
And our bus drivers do a great job of rewarding their kids. Lots of them do that anyway, to have some common language. We thought to have some common language between the first people they see in the morning time and the last one they see in the afternoon with, that's the same stuff they talk about in school. That gives the bus drivers some more power and gives them they're not just a random person that sets up in front of the bus and yells at them when they, are not doing what they're supposed to. It empowers them to be more of a person in their discipline and reward sort of spectrum.
And the first 11 days is repetitive for kids, and what our drivers are doing, we want to know about so that we can back them up when we go over our policies and procedures. We want it to be a vision that's shared by our drivers and our transportation department and us. Integrating that into the first 11 days of school will, I think, really make a difference next year in our behavior data we see on the bus. So that's all I have. I hope that you'll take time to come and visit our building. I know that we can talk about data and we can talk about how things feel different, but until you come in and you're a part of a classroom and you get to feel it, it's really just words. So we would encourage you to make time to come by and see us and feel it for yourself. It's a big difference.
So I have a quick question. I did on slide 7 on the bus incidents, it looks like. There was none in August and September. Do you think that's inaccurate? Was it not reported? Because it jumped up, obviously, in October, November.
Well, I think kids go through a honeymoon period. It could be, a couple things.
Okay.
There's always the honeymoon period, and then I know
Then they start getting antsy around October.
There's some shifts in leadership, across the district, so just making those policies and procedures tight with us and among themselves, I think that probably had a lot to do with it. But more than anything, the month of October, you anticipate a spike in behavior about every year. Yeah. So
There's a reason we have a fall break.
Yeah.
Of whatever sort.
Right, okay.
Students, teachers, bus drivers, whoever.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next is student Support Services, acknowledgement of the Kentucky Green Schools presentation. Ms. Brittany Ray?
Hey, Brittany, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, she's, oh, okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I think you can see my screen now. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to share a bit about our newest program, Kentucky Green Schools, and how it can benefit Clark County teachers and students, the schools, and the community. I'll move through this introduction to the program pretty quick so I don't take up too much of your time, but please feel free to stop me along the way if you have any questions, and then of course I'll have time for questions at the end. So, I'm Brittany Ray. I'm the Deputy Director for the Kentucky Association for Environmental Education. I've been with KAEE since 2016, and prior to that I was a 6th grade math and 7th grade science teacher at Model Lab at Eastern Kentucky University. And I'm still a neighbor to Clark County and living in Richmond today. And while I live in Richmond, KAEE is actually a statewide nonprofit, and we serve as the backbone organization supporting educators and advocating for environmental education across Kentucky. We work really closely with the Kentucky Environmental Education Council, which is the state agency for environmental education, and they offer many great programs and services for Kentucky. And it's our pleasure to partner with them to bring you the Kentucky Green Schools program. So KAEE and KEEC have historically run 2 separate Green Schools programs that offer reciprocal recognition for schools, but now we have joined forces to partner and support one strong Kentucky Green Schools program. So what this actually looks like, it's a program designed to inspire students to develop environmentally friendly behavior and to feel empowered to take active steps toward creating a greener and healthier world starting in their school environments. And they get the chance to do that, to adopt those environmentally friendly behaviors and take these steps through exploration, examination, creative problem solving, and action projects. Teachers are provided with themed investigations that allow students to examine and collect data about their school grounds, energy use, waste and recycling, water consumption, and just overall environmental quality. And then after the investigation, students work to design and implement action projects that are based on their research and the things that they collected. There's many benefits for participating students. They'll certainly develop leadership and problem-solving skills. You'll see a boost in environmental literacy and stewardship skills. They'll generate a deeper connection to nature and their sense of place. And one of the biggest benefits is the teamwork experience and community building, along with investigation and project implementation skills. Schools who participate will see benefits across their campus. There's going to be potential energy cost savings, improved student learning and test scores, particularly around STEM topics. There will be new connections to local community partners, and then some recognition within the wider community for their students' accomplishments. And speaking of community partners, we have 138 registered community partners who are committed to supporting green schools in their area, many of which are located well within 30 minutes of Clark County, and we have more signing up every day. So these are great resources for the students and the teachers who are in the program. And getting started is super easy. Teachers interested or staff interested can begin their green school journey by visiting our website. It's kaee.org/greenschools. It's completely free, and we're here to support them every step of the way. So one of the first steps that a teacher and the student take is to form a green team, which is made up of several important people from around the school and in the community, from administrators to custodians and cafeteria staff to family and even community volunteers. And a teacher can use a particular class of students to be the basis for a green team. It could be a club of interested students, or even something like an after-school program that's led by youth service centers or directors or family service workers. But once they form the green team, the teams will embark on choosing the investigation that they want to begin with. And one of the biggest aspects of this program, and you'll see in the investigations, is the notion that students lead the way. They investigate, plan, and implement the action projects, and the teachers act as a facilitator, offering support and guidance along the way, along with those other adult level green team members. And so the investigations we currently offer include energy, and this is where students assess the school's energy consumption. They're going to identify energy sources and explore energy saving strategies. School environment, and this is where students evaluate areas for improvement in indoor air quality, transportation, chemical usage, and other things like that. School site, this is where students examine the natural habitats, the wildlife, the trees and grounds maintenance to enhance their school site, things that you have there on campus. And then waste and recycling, this is where students analyze their school's waste generation, waste management processes, and evaluate recycling and composting efforts. And then finally, water, and this is where students investigate the source, the cost and quality of their school's water supply, and propose water conservation practices. So one of my favorite parts of this program is the recognition that we get to provide the students, the schools, and the teachers. We offer 4 levels of recognition. Each of these levels receive banners, like a physical banner to display at the school. Green level is for those who complete 1 project. Silver level is for those who complete 2 to 4 projects. And then gold level is for those who complete all 5 of the projects. And these levels can be reached in a single school year or accumulate over the course of a couple years for a particular school. And then once a school reaches the gold level, they'll receive a full-size flag that they can hang or fly at the school, along with an in-person presentation from our staff. Model green schools are those who complete all 5 of the KGS investigations, and they continue to complete at least 1 new project per year with a new or growing green team. It can be the same set of people. And then model green schools can also receive an in-person presentation if they wish, and then they'll get a new banner and a plaque that can be added to each year to signify their continued status as a green school. So additional opportunities for recognition include the Green Ribbon Schools from the U.S. Department of Ed, which is hosted by our friends at KDEC, along with the Kentucky NEED program, which is the National Energy Education Development Program. They host an annual Kentucky Youth Awards program to recognize students for energy and environmental projects. And then finally, we at KAEE offer an Excellence in EE Awards program where schools can be nominated for the Kentucky School of the Year Award, and the winning school would be recognized at our annual Outdoor Learning Symposium. So in summary, after registration, the lead teacher or staff will have access to download each of these investigations that include a ton of background information and worksheets that help guide the investigation and the planning process. A green team will be formed, and they'll work together to decide which of the investigations they'd like to start with. And then once they complete the investigation, they'll develop and complete an action project to address their findings. And then finally, the teacher or lead staff will submit the recognition form and hopefully celebrate their team's accomplishments. So that is a quick snapshot of this program, and I am happy to answer any questions that you have about it. You can feel free to email me and certainly visit our website to learn more about KGS. And we just hope you'll join us in encouraging Clark County teachers and students to begin their green school journey this year.
Well, we appreciate the presentation. I have one question. Is any grade level, or is it for certain grade levels?
It's for any grade level, probably not like preschool at that point. Lower elementary might struggle. I would say the schools that do it the most are those middle elementary up to high school because of that section I highlighted where students really lead the way. Those younger kids might need more guidance from the teachers, but could certainly still do it.
Anybody have any other questions?
No, I just say it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And
Is that Bill?
Yes.
Really?
Hey, how are you, Brittany?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Is this something, do we have teachers, administrators?
So
Something
Clark
that-
County, to my knowledge, has not been involved. I think this is something that I wanted to make sure the board was kind of aware of, that we would be kind of pursuing almost as a pilot for individual teachers. Also thinking, including it maybe in our work next year with Christy Bush and our Family Resource Centers with the community initiative, because it is about partnerships. And then again, I thought having it an open board meeting was just good information. So we look forward not to necessarily implementing it coming back from January, because as both schools said, we're doing a whole lot right now. We want to be consistent, I think, but moving forward next year, again, having second, third, and fourth graders learning about, real world application to science, right? And again, building in with our vision of science, math, technology at the elementary level. We've written a couple grants, so I think this could fit into that. Hopefully we got some good news, but not official yet. So again, we've got a big vision on how to include this and what we're doing, and not having it just be another thing.
So there's no fee for this, or there's no charge to sign up for this program?
That's correct, there's no charge at all, it's all free.
How is it funded? Is it funded through the state? The program funded through the state?
That's a good question. Right now, we have a couple funders. I don't know if you're familiar with Project Learning Tree, but they have funded the startup for this program. Project Learning Tree is a forestry education program, and that's who we historically just supported their PLT Green Schools program, but now they're supporting this initiative where we work with KEC to make it really more Kentucky specific and local, and then we're constantly looking for more funders, but there's absolutely no plans to charge for it anytime, ever, so.
Awesome,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time
Yeah,
tonight.
of course. Yeah, thank you all. Like I said, just email me if you have any questions, and we'll look forward to working more closely with you all and your teachers, and I'll see you later.
Thank
you.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Tobby, can we have just like a 5-minute break, please?
Absolutely. We'll take a break here. It's 7:34. Let's just say 8:40.
Well-
8:45, I mean 7:40.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
We're going to dinner. Come
I gave a lot of these people a hard time to say that.
7:40.
They got time to go home and eat supper.
Turn over the facilities real quick.
Pause that for a second.
It's a great program.
Now we're gonna school, we have
Yeah. I worked with some environmental teams, I worked at EKU.
back in session. I think we're at the consider approval of DocuWare upgrade for digital document retention. Justin, Casey? Justin? Okay.
Come back and recess.
All right, we have a system on one of our servers called DocuWare, and it houses student records from, there are a few as far back as the 40s and 50s, but for the most part, they house most of the records from the 1980s to the present. And it's a old system on a really old server, and the last several years, whenever we try and get information off of it, it takes a while and crashes the server quite a bit. It's just an overall, a very old piece of equipment, and it's important data. The person, the end user at GRC who gets these requests for these records, she gets them several times a week, so it's something we access quite a bit, but like I said, it's just old and outdated. It's on a physical server, so I'm requesting $13,720 out of contingency to update this to the same company, DocuWare, but they're cloud-based services, which is obviously up to date, provides full support and maintenance, and is cloud-based, so it's secure. And it's a company that has taken their old systems before and upgraded it to their current systems. In a lot of cases, the information that's on this 40 years worth of student records, a lot of cases, it's the only instance of that student records. When I say student records, I mean such things as transcripts, which is the most common thing that's asked for, credits, immunizations. I mean, think anything that goes in the student's permanent record, it's in there. And in a lot of cases, this digital copy is all there is. The physical copies have been shredded. So we want to make sure that that this is easily available and it's not on a server that crashes. Now, because the server crashes a lot, we have many backups, so we're not in danger of losing the information. It's just really hard to retrieve sometimes. That's my request, is that we take money out of contingency to update our DocuWare server to a DocuWare cloud-based system.
So can I ask you a real quick question? So like I had to get my transcript from GRC last year, and that's from like 1991, but it didn't take all that. It was almost instantaneous.
Yeah, right. So sometimes the system works and sometimes it doesn't. A couple weeks ago, we had a request, just the same sort of request as you would have asked for, and it took over 2 hours to get, because we had to recover just a simple act of asking the computer system for a request. Caused the system to crash, and it took 2 hours for us to repair a backup just to get this one person's transcripts off of there.
Wow. So when let's say a person from the community goes in and asks for a transcript, you go on the website and you ask for it. So when you ask it on the computer, is that going to a real, like to a human?
I'm not the end user of this situation.
Yeah.
So I can't say with 100% certainty, but what I believe happens is a person actually comes into GRC and asks for a transcript, and then when that happens, the staff member, she goes into her records room where there's a DocuWare server, this like
I understand now.
mainframe looking thing, and it pulls it up on a computer, prints it out, and gives it to her after checking credentials and everything.
So doing that, then you wouldn't have to have that piece of equipment, and you'd just be able to use your computer at your desk?
That's correct. Yeah, we wouldn't need that same piece of legacy equipment. We'd just be able to, a person sitting at her desk would just go into a website and, oh yeah.
I'm sure that Mrs. Greenman would appreciate something like
Greenman,
this.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she would be most appreciative.
Is it a one-time fee, or is it like?
So the $13,720 covers, because our system's so old, it's a one-time fee of $7,000 to upgrade to the cloud, to get all the information into the cloud, and then it's $6,720 a year. So at the end of this year, or the end of 12 months, we could evaluate what we wanted to do at that point forward, if we wanted to stick with it, if we wanted to export the entire, and I'm estimating about 100,000 individual files. If we wanted to export that to our own servers and maintain a more up-to-date server, like we have several options when the 12 months is up, but I feel like it's imperative to just get it off the old system and into the cloud first, and then look at what we want to do long-term.
We pay maintenance on the existing DocuWare server
No,
out there today?
maintenance on that
Nothing.
expired probably 7 or 8 years ago. We maintain
Is
it
it
ourselves.
servers, is it servers that we have this information on out at the high school?
Yes.
Are they,
It's a virtual server on a physical server at Campbell Junior High School.
okay.
So,
Is there, after the first year, if it's suitable, does DocuWare offer a multi-year discount?
they do, it's not a great discount. The 1 year is $560 a month. 3 year is $545 a month. 5 year is $530 a month.
No,
So it's not a
monthly.
great,
Yeah,
it's not a great discount. You think it would be better,
yeah,
but it's not.
okay. Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Bennett,
I'll second.
a second by Ms. Ritchie, all in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Made notes on this one. Consider approval of lease between Clark County Public Schools and Bluegrass Community Health Center at 100 Vault Road Building, formerly Phoenix Academy. Mr. Watkins.
All right, so Ms. McCoy and I have actually been working with KDE in that building right now in a very small space in the back corner. They are interested in expanding and taking about half that building, which would be about 7,800 square feet. And we've met with them. Part of their grant that they get, they want to be on they need to be on a school property. They do provide a lot of services for our kids, from physicals to seeing sick kids and things like that. But they're interested in expanding their clinic, even adding dental services, and have reached out to us about doing that. And so we have talked to the board a while back about permission to pursue working on a lease with them, and you all should have a copy of that, and just asking for your approval on that.
And it's a 2-year lease.
It would be a 3-year.
3-year?
It would be January 24 through December of 26.
Oh.
I told you wrong, because it's the end
Yeah.
of 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are options to terminate, I think, with so much
30.
notice.
Yeah, I think we put 30 days for either party, yes.
And if they terminate, they have to pay a pretty considerable
Mhm.
fee.
Probably, yes.
How will it affect the new daycare? Will it affect, like, did we make, when you look at that building where they were at now, how much of that building is the daycare? Is the daycare not using all of the space that Phoenix had?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
The daycare is kind of on half of it,
Like,
or
okay.
a third, kind of if you're on the road, on Vault Road facing the building.
Yeah.
Daycare's kind of on that left side.
Uh-huh.
What they want would be the right-hand side. They have a bigger parking lot where they're gonna expand services, and they would have an entrance right there off the parking lot.
So it's almost like switching around?
It would be, yes.
So where is the daycare at right now, like when you walk in the building?
It's on the left-hand side.
So are they not there at all right now?
The clinic is behind
That
the
back
daycare,
part?
kind of in that corner right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
they
got
have
you.
a very small space
Okay.
right now.
Do we know how much it's used? Like, are families using it when they need services?
I feel like, yes, I don't have statistics on that, but every time I go by there's vehicles there. They provide immunizations.
Oh,
they
yeah, it's
provide
great.
physicals. Yes, they'll see staff. They come out to schools and provide services and screenings, so.
So the rent, what fund will that go into?
Fund 1, general fund.
Okay.
And so Kentucky regs require the board to approve the lease, but before it's executed, the commissioner has to give a stamp of approval only after the board approves it. So tonight, if the board will approve it and authorize Mr. Talby to execute it once KDE has given the stamp of approval. And based on the appraisals that have been submitted, I don't see any reason why they would not do so. You wouldn't have to come back before the board for you to execute it.
And we had an appraisal done to kind of give us a, you know, a ballpark on what the value would be to lease out that property.
Go. Have any other questions? If not, I'll make a motion based on Ms. McCoy's recommendation is make a recommendation to approve the lease between Clark County Public Schools and Bluegrass Community Health Center at 100 Vault Road, at the 100 Vault Road building, as well as authorizing the board chair to sign lease agreement pending Kentucky Commissioner's approval.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Thank you. Next is Finance and Human Resource Update. Consider acknowledgement of the 2022-23 financial audit report. Ms. Ellis?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we joined into a new partnership this year with Patrick and Associates Auditing Services. So I'm going to let Ms. Patrick and Ms. Francis come up and tell you all about what they discovered.
They gave us some reading material.
I was going to say, I think they gave you copies, yes.
Yes.
I told them to read it.
It's a good read.
Good evening. We've really enjoyed working with Ms. Ellis and Mr. Howard, Superintendent Howard, I guess. My name's Tammy and this is Beth, and we are the partners of Patrick and Associates. This is the first time we've worked with you all, and it's been a lot of fun. We've worked hard, had a lot of questions, a lot of effort, and really enjoyed getting to know everyone here at the office. We've been doing Board of Education audits for about 5 years. Beth and I both worked for the majority of our careers with the State Auditor's Office there. We specialized in governmental audits there. And so when we retired in 2018, it just seemed like a natural progression of our careers and to keep on keeping on. So we're here tonight to present your audit report, and you all have already gotten a copy of that. We've completed the audit. We've started, I can't remember exactly, back in the summer, getting some stuff, requesting documents, initial contact with Alicia. And in the audit report, we're glad to say we're issuing an unmodified, which is a clean opinion. That's the best opinion you can get. We found no evidence of fraud or misappropriation of funds in examining the school's finances. We also found no issues related to the internal control or compliance of your major federal programs. As noted in the report, there was a few issues with internal controls and over the fiscal year closeout process and the financial statement preparations, which require some adjustment to the financial statements, which have been done. We met with Alicia and Superintendent Howard, and we discussed that, and they have developed a corrective action plan and submitted that to us, which is part of the overall audit process. And with those procedures in place, we feel like these issues would be corrected going forward. So we greatly appreciate the courtesy and all the hard work. I know we ask a lot of questions and require a lot of time at moments throughout the audit process. But Superintendent Howard and Ms. Ellis were very cooperative, and their staff giving us the information we needed as we requested it. Some of the financial highlights for fiscal year 23. Overall, the governmental fund balances increased by approximately $22 million. The majority of that can be attributed to the bond issuance for the year that'll be used in future construction projects. The general fund balance, which is included in that $22 million increase, did increase slightly as well. It increased by about $1.6 million for a total ending fund balance of $12.8 million. Only a small amount of the balance is restricted, leaving the bulk of that, about $11.8 million, I believe, available for use of the district for general and normal everyday operating needs. So that's a good thing. So you've got some good general fund monies there, a good balance there that can be used when things come up to upgrade systems or implement new processes here. So the district's business activity fund type, which is basically your food services program, it also saw about an $800,000 increase in its ending fund balance for the year, leaving it with about $2.3 million there. So, and then just overall, taking into consideration the bond issuance, the increase in cash, the investment in capital assets net of depreciation, and then the increase overall in your liabilities, in the net pension liability, and your OPEB liability, which everybody loves. The net position increased by $5.9 million for the year, which I think is a really good thing. So, again, we want to thank Superintendent Howard and Mrs. Ellis for their help and cooperation during the audit. And are there any questions?
I don't have any.
No, I think you did an excellent job explaining all that.
Well, good.
No, it sounds good.
So,
Well, thank you all for the report, and we appreciate all the hard work. So thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. Hope you get to know that.
Next is the acknowledgement of the monthly Clark County Public Schools financial update. Ms. Ellis?
Well, something new this month is you will see it says that it is unreconciled. So just with the short turnaround of the meeting, and I've actually been off the last week and a half sick with my family with COVID, so that's why I'm wearing the mask as well. But so our percentages are actually a little bit different compared to this same time last year, simply because I don't have everything recorded at the moment to present to you all. So in January, we will present a reconciled November and a reconciled December so that you can see the final for both of those. So you'll have more slides in the next presentation next month. But I just wanted to kind of get the preliminary numbers to you since you're used to seeing a report every month. So we're still really close. We're only 1% difference there. Fantastic news still with our collection of taxes. The check that we just received in December, we're at 87% collection. So again, shout out to our sheriff. He's doing a fantastic job for us. And then you just heard about our audit. So are there any questions that you all have for me?
Nothing crazy to report. It sounds like pretty much status quo.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
pretty much status quo. Short turnaround, just time frame. I just didn't get everything reconciled to present to you all. So I apologize for that part.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Next is authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable.
Make a motion to do that.
We have a motion by Ms. Hall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. Next up is staff retention and recruitment. Consider approval of memorandum of understanding with EKU and ESL endorsement for Dr. Tammy Parrish.
This is one of those things I get super excited and passionate about, and I have to slow myself down. But this is the MOU that we've been talking about for getting our teachers in that ESL cohort. So this is just the agreement. I really like in that second paragraph that we put, this was a unique educational advantage, cost saving for our teachers. While enhancing teacher benefits, it further positions Clark County Public Schools as a desirable workplace that values education as a means to propel our workforce forward. So not only are our kids benefiting, but our staff's benefiting as well, and they can see we're just as invested in them. So we're going to provide 30 teachers to EKU. That's part of the memorandum. It's going to cost us a little over $135,000 to put everybody through it. To me, that's minimal, considering what we're going to get out. And I'd love to see every teacher to be able to do this program because it truly does enhance foundational literacy skills, which can be used to remediate, all of Tier 1, not just our ESL learners. So in Section 4, EKU also is going to give all of our completers 6 free hours. So in the perfect world in spring, if we were to find this magical amount of money, and we could push that same cohort of teachers through, we could do also a GT endorsement, because EKU is going to give it to us for half price. So those teachers would get 6 hours for free, and then Clark County could fund the other 6 hours for $67,000. And that would give our teachers a really strong Tier 1 remedial basket of skills, but also give them that acceleration basket that we've not really focused on in Clark County. So that would be like my perfect dream of how we could finish out in the spring if this magical amount of money just appeared. But if not, we're super thankful for the opportunity to do the ESL one now.
So have we budgeted for this issue, or this is already?
Well, this one, I think we had a little extra money in the academic funds, so we were
Okay.
trying to be creative with more retention and recruitment strategies, and Mrs. Fifth then offered to help me out on this one.
Okay. So this isn't coming out of contingency?
No.
No, it's already in the budget. It exists, yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome.
And the
Even-
teachers
even
are
better.
also signing a retention contract. So because we're paying for it, they are signing a retention contract upon completion of the program.
For them to stay here for a
To
certain
stay
period
in
of
Clark
time?
County for an additional 2 years beyond completion.
That was my next question. That's awesome. Do you have, I mean, does the teachers already know about this? Do you have a pipeline of
So
30
we have
people that?
68 that volunteered, but we only have the money right now for
Yeah.
30. So we did, we looked at ranks, like where teachers were currently in ranks. We looked at tenure status, and we went on principal. So we took all the recommendations, then we sent those to the principals, and we had the principals submit us back. So now we have a waiting list if we ever got to do additional cohorts.
Yeah.
We plan to and hope to,
Right.
but right now we have a waiting list for those that.
That's awesome that you had that much, you had that many people, many teachers that wanted to do this, so.
So we have 50 right now on retention contracts through Bloom Board, and then we'll have 30 on retention contracts through the ESL.
Impressive. Any questions?
No,
Well-
I just say that as an eternal colonel,
Colonel, I like that.
I think it's an awesome opportunity for our teachers
Something
and
else that's-
actually students as well. It's going to benefit them.
Something else that's kind of exciting that just hit me, that's almost a quarter of our teachers that will be on retention contracts. So imagine what we can save too in the long run if we're not constantly turning over staff and retraining and KN and other instructional practices.
Absolutely. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Ms. Hall has the motion, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next is internal board business. Consider approval of school board district realignment. Mr. Stephen Perry.
Justin, I'll just, I'm ready for next one. Justin, okay, Start the slideshow. So y'all have knocked all the fun stuff out already. I'm here to be political. And I just want to talk to you guys about a project that I was placed in charge of by the Clark County Clerk's Office. I guess you guys had requested guidance from the County Clerk's Office on reapportioning school board districts. And the next slide. So I'm just going to briefly go through the whole process, and then we'll get down into the weeds of what the school board is required to do. So every 10 years, there's a census, and every 10 years, Kentucky state law requires that fiscal courts redistrict their districts within their counties. And this time, because of COVID, the census numbers were delayed, so the legislature had an emergency bill that postponed that redistricting until May of 2023. And basically, the redistricting for fiscal courts is based upon population. So that's the first criteria that we use. Next one. So the process that we followed is in April of this year, the fiscal court appointed a 3-person citizen reapportionment council committee to balance the population. In August, the fiscal court approved the updated boundaries for fiscal court districts.
And then, so August 30th, the new magisterial districts took effect by law. And then from September the 1st until the day before the election, the Clark County clerk had to redraw the voting precincts. The voting precincts are another puzzle piece that are within each. So each magistrate district is made up of the voting precincts, and the voting precincts are the puzzle piece that's more operational. It is a puzzle piece that handles like the number of voters in each precinct, and that's for the purposes of holding the elections. Okay. So school board districts, there's not a whole lot of guidance in the law on that. What was required is by June the 1st of 1940. I think we're past that date right now. Counties without cities of the first class, of which Clark County is one. Each school district had to divide itself into 5 divisions, and with its equal population as so far as is practicable. Can't believe I can say that word. And then also, so what's hitting us now is this next law, which is that the school board districts or divisions have to follow the precinct boundaries. And that's where we are now, is that we have to readjust the school board districts to match the precincts that the county has drawn. And there are 5 school board districts and there are 6 fiscal court districts, so they're just so you know that they're not the same districts. They don't fall right on top of one another. So it's kind of hard to see, but this is the old list showing the breakdown of the precincts that made up each school board district as of the beginning of this year, 2023. And we had a couple of changes in the arrangement of the precincts. We had the SPA precinct. We busted that into 2. There's now a SPA precinct and a Colby precinct. And also the clerk also merged this Winchester precinct into the Fairfax precinct. So I'll have some graphics in a minute that will show that. And so here's a nice table. And so using the new precinct list, this is a new precinct list in the 2020 population. The first school board district column there is where that school board district would fall under the new precinct arrangement as laid out by the Clark County clerk. The next column, the school board district 3, that's the recommended change to the precinct as far if it needs to move to another school board district in order to balance out that population. There were different options that you could have taken, is to just leave it where they lie, meaning take that first column of school board districts and leave it at that, or we could have totally discarded everything that we knew and totally rearranged the precincts into new school board districts, which would make everybody's life miserable. The voters and the school board members and the clerk and everybody. But so the last column is the action that was taken to realign those precincts into school board districts that would balance out the population. So that first column, like I said, if we just left the school board districts lie with the old precincts, with taking into account the new changes, this is the situation you would have as far as the difference in population. There would be a spread of 62, almost 62% between the highest populated district and the lowest populated district, which is not good. It's not a good spread. So go ahead and next one. So here are ideas from that last column. So one of the changes is this is the new Colby precinct, which was a part of SPA. And the idea in this arrangement is to move this from District 2 into District 3. And we'll go to the next one. Here's a graphic of the Fairfax precinct. Winchester, which was in District 3, has been dissolved and integrated into the Fairfax precinct. And go ahead. The North Winchester precinct would go from 4 to 5. And if you'll go to the next one, the Victory precinct would go to 5 to 4. That's weird, but we're swapping those precincts to balance out the population because of the population differences in those different precincts. So, go ahead. So, making those changes to the board districts, we end up with a total spread of only 10% between the highest populated and the lowest populated precincts, school board districts. And I'm not sure what's on the next one. That's it. I think that's it. So I'm here to answer questions. I can break out my laptop and we can do GIS in public if you want. But I was just here to answer your questions, and it looks like that this option gives us the best result as far as balancing the population that we could possibly get without, like I said, tearing up the map and redrawing all of the districts from scratch.
This is option 3 in our packet.
Yeah.
Mr. Kaysen, I need the password. I can't get on the Wi-Fi. I've totally been knocked off. I know we have a board one. Can you write it and bring it to me? Or does somebody know it?
I'll text it to you.
Okay.
You need my computer.
Well, there's something going on with the Wi-Fi all over, because I got knocked off of it on GRC too when I was there today. So, sorry. Thank you. I didn't mean to scare you.
So a couple of questions. So that second statute that you put up, it's the school board's responsibility to make changes to make it as equal as possible across all of the districts? Correct. The only real requirement as far as the law goes is that the school board district needs to ensure that that there are there are whole precincts within each school board district. You can't chop the precincts up to make, just whatever boundaries you want.
So if we wanted to adopt option 1, we could.
You could.
Even though it's a 68%.
Yeah.
The law
Different.
requires, if you do it, to do
Yeah.
it as equally as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I was asking.
yeah, you're
So
not
we couldn't really
required to
adopt.
do it, like, look at census data and do it like the magistrates are, but you're sort of preempted in this situation because there was some precinct changes.
Yeah.
But once you decide to take that action, you've got to be, reasonable. Of course, nobody expects it to be exactly equal because precinct boundaries are not equal.
And she's probably taken a look at it, but that KRS 160 has other remedies if the school board does not comply with making it as close as possible. There are options for it to be challenged, and basically the State Board of Education at that point would redraw your school board districts for you.
That's if 100 residents petition KDE to make you do it.
So you're the only one whose district ain't changing?
Actually,
No,
don't you get all of Hampton? Isn't Hampton moved over, or it's changed? It was, what's the Colby Road that goes from the bypass up to Belmont, and it turns into Belmont? I think a lot of that changed, like,
Well, there was some redrawing of the precinct boundaries in that area, which did end up shifting some of those areas over into other school board districts.
Yeah. And the one thing
The
that.
District 3 changed? I didn't think District 3 changed.
It changed a lot, like all of them changed.
No, I'm talking about from option 1 to option 3.
Hmm.
When we look.
Justin, if you want to go back to those maps that we had, to back.
Which district are you talking about? District 3? District 3 doesn't change from 1 to 3.
Right.
But I think
in the
that
options, District 1 and 3 is not affected, it's districts 2, 4, and 5. That's
no,
affected.
District 3 has changed on 1 because there is the area behind Kroger, like Essex, Red Wing, all of those homes and townhomes. In part of the neighborhood behind Lowe's. When I talked to Magistrate Davis this morning, we talked a little bit about what his looked like, and it's very similar to how his area has changed. Because there's like Oxford Drive is split in half, like so if you're driving up Oxford, then everything like on all the apartment buildings and so forth is in District 3, and now the townhomes on the other side would be in District 2. And the other thing that's, I think, a good thing is that a lot of the two maps merge all of Holiday Hills together because it's split up right now. And then, like I said, the area behind Kroger, those homes. And one thing that I had talked about yesterday is the fact that I know, since I am District 2 representative, there's a lot of construction going on down McClure, like down past one of the flowers, hibiscus. Yeah, all down through there. There's just a lot of construction going on. So growth and so forth. Because and I don't know, Ashley, about, I think the change for that, like Victory, you've had Victory, and now it would be, if we went with 3, then Ben's district, with Mr. Dorsey's district, which is 4.
Which actually makes more sense because he has most of the downtown area.
And one of the challenges was that these districts do have to be contiguous. They have to, you can't just take a precinct from, Trapp and move it over to, Pine Grove or something like that.
Oh, it's the average.
Bless you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I think it makes sense.
it makes most sense to me.
Can you pull up that option 3 again and talk about the third column where it says average difference? Or difference average?
Yeah. Keep on going
Because that's an odd, there you go. What is that, what are you trying to say there?
Well, the average down there is, that
79-34.
would be ideal, is for every school board district to have 7,300 people in it. And that difference from average is the population, the difference from that.
It's the difference between the 73 and 4.
So for example, District 3, in option 3 would have 145 fewer people than the ideal.
And District 2 has 452 more than the average.
Right.
We don't know the county piece, so I can see that Becknerville area, when you get over across to US 60, is District 5 and District 2, is it just down, is US 60 the divider? What happens when you get out to Vernon Hills and out to Yorktown?
Right, and without having my map.
Well, I mean, you can't see it on the map we have, so.
Right. Well, none of those were affected, none of those precincts were affected by any changes, so they would stay. They would stay with the current school board districts.
I think that it's just, the maps have always been a little confusing and not sure what the most up-to-date one was, so it looks like to me that US 60 is it makes sense for it to be the dividing line. And I would think District 2 is going to continue to grow because that is where the most of the Well, in District 5, I don't know how much, if they're doing any building out there, actually, off of the, that one housing development, that neighborhood, right past like the station, really close to like that fire plate, like the, what'd you call it? Royal Oaks, thank you. They're not building up.
No, not right now, I don't. to my
Yeah.
knowledge.
There's a few going up on Silverton.
Well, see, maybe I was wondering.
Yeah, I just, District 2 is gonna just be, it will continue to grow like that.
I would say if
So-
District 5 grows, it'll be going more out the new bypass.
Mhm.
That'll
Oh,
be
that
the
makes
area
sense.
it will-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if District 2 is expected to grow, that's the one that's already 452 over. Right? I just knocked myself off as I was telling you that.
How many are in SPAR? How do you say that? Is it
Spa. They call it like the beauty spa or something like that.
Yeah, I
Day
mean, 'cause,
spa.
I must be looking at one. I'm not looking at 3. Here, I found spa. There's 2,000 people, 2,337.
Well,
So if District 2 is the one that we're expecting to keep growing, it's already over. While everybody else is under. We have to do this again, when, in 10 years?
You don't have to do it.
well, if the fiscal court does any changes and.
To the
we
precinct
might-
boundaries.
We could.
Yeah, I think it's 2030, was with the census, we would get new
Yeah.
numbers, which really, I mean, in less than a month, we're at 24. So, I think for 6 years, you know, even with growth in housing, you're not gonna see a tremendous amount.
You're not allowed to do
In
it
6
more
years.
than 5 years unless there's been a merger.
Right.
And just to explain, I mean, as far as some being, like District 2 being way over, that's just a trick of the precincts have to, if I tried a bunch of different combinations, and if I move another precinct, I can't get another balance. Either that one becomes like 1,000 under, or, you know, so if I tried to balance out that 450 by adding a precinct to District 2 and taking one away, it would throw it out of balance. I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but if that's the one that we're expecting to grow, that's the only thing I was talking, if that's where all the houses are going up right now,
Right.
and we're already over there. I mean, 452 right now is nothing compared to what we have on here, but if, how many houses are we talking about are going up?
I don't know how big of a, they're pretty big houses, so I'm not sure. And they didn't approve the apartments and the duplexes or some, off
Yeah,
of
not yet, but
Owensboro.
I expect that to be approved at some point.
Okay.
Because I believe if I'm not mistaken, you might even know this, I thought that it's already zoned.
For housing.
For
It's
housing,
zoned
so,
for, yeah,
so I don't know how they can really
multifamily.
stop it.
Yeah.
And again, it's a trick of, you know, the most logical thing, if you weren't worried about the precincts being side by side, is to take something from District 5 and give it to 2, but they're not side by side. You see, like, so we'd have to start like cascading precincts into other districts, which is the option, the nuclear option, which is disrupting everything, which would not, I mean, probably make a lot of people happy, but.
Is there a time requirement for the board to make a decision on this?
You just have to notify the clerk within 60 days.
60 days of
There
what?
isn't I'm assuming there's some board elections in May, no, not till fall.
November.
Fall. And I do believe you can't change the districts
After August.
after
1st.
August 1st or something
Yeah.
like that.
I would like for Mr. Dorsey to have the opportunity to have, if he had any conversation, I mean, do you agree, Mr. Talby, that would, since he's not able to be here tonight?
I haven't specifically talked to Mr. Dorsey about this, so, his opinion probably, I mean, we want to make sure that he's okay as well with this. So, if there's not a time constraint, we probably might want to table this until the January meeting when all the board members are present. Just a thought. Don't know what the rest of the board members think.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it'd be nice for him to be here to ask any questions.
Because I don't want to speak for him. I personally don't don't see a problem with what's been presented, but I think it's be proper to have all board members present to be able to vote for it.
Yeah. Understood.
Do we have to make a motion to table it?
Yeah, we'll have to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to table it till our January meeting.
Second.
We got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're gonna table it till January.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, you truly have been helpful, so
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was really good to hear.
And I'll promise you, in January, we'll put you up on the agenda, so you don't have to stay the whole time, okay? So, sorry about that. And make sure he gets that, we do that in January.
Early.
Yeah.
Check.
Okay. All right, next, superintendent report. Mr. Howard.
We didn't do
Oh, wait a
You
minute.
just totally skipped.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you
There's
did.
several other things. Getting late. Okay, the second item is discuss and approve date for the January 25th board organizational meeting. We normally do this first week of January. We've got a calendar that was put on our table to see, so,
Oh, okay.
okay. So it looks like either, the earliest would be like the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th.
When do the kids come back? Let me look at your calendar there.
See, that's
I
all.
thought they came back on the 3rd.
Third.
It's a work day on the 2nd, though, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So we, I guess, can officially do it on the 2nd too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay home with my baby. And we're out of school, I wanna enjoy that last day with him.
Okay.
I'm just
Mine
saying.
doesn't come out of the room, so.
Huh?
I said mine will probably be asleep all day, so, yeah.
I'm
good
open,
all
I'm
day.
open any day that
Yeah,
week.
I can do anything.
I mean, I'm fine with Wednesday, Thursday, I can make it work, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, but
Mr. Howard, do you think your team would prefer Wednesday or Thursday for us to have a meeting?
I would think maybe Thursday if that's amenable, just because Wednesday is a church night, and I think some folks
Yeah.
want to do that, and that stays away from Friday night too. And,
Yep.
I mean, I like you guys.
I mean,
Friday night together, but Thursday, I think would probably be looking at faces around the room.
Okay.
They're all looking away, so.
How is that, Mrs. Ritchie?
that's fine, cause this should only be like a 15-minute meeting, if even that, right? For the organizational meeting.
There won't be, I mean, it's just
Just a
setting
couple
up,
of-
just a couple
Yeah.
items on there.
Okay.
Mr. Bennett,
Yeah.
Are you
It
okay?
works. Yeah, Thursday's fine with me.
so,
What time are you gonna make it, Mr. Howard?
That's, well, the last time I changed from 6:30 to 6.
You sure did.
I'd
Yes.
say 6:30, start
Okay.
out the first one.
All right. That was trying to be fun.
That was good, I laughed, it was fun.
okay, so do we have a motion to approve the organizational meeting for January 4th at 6:30?
Move.
Sure. Oh, go ahead, Billy.
No, I was just gonna
Motion by Mr. Bennett,
Yeah.
Second.
second by Ms. Ritchie, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And I just want to reiterate, until we have that meeting, the board won't officially set meeting dates. So if folks out there are looking for when meetings are going to be for next year, that won't actually be done until the 4th. So I know folks start looking for those dates because they're so excited to tune in or attend, celebrate the heck out of our kids and our staff. Be patient, we'll get you here.
I have a question for our lawyer. When do we need to be sworn in? Because there was 3 of us elected. I don't know.
At that organizational
That will be
meeting,
fine? Okay.
I think that's what it's traditionally been done. I think so. Okay.
So we'll need to make sure we.
And get
have-
oaths, remind me, we'll get oaths for.
Okay. All right, next item is review of the Winter KSBA Symposium. Ms. Hall.
Yes, so we attended, all of us, there were 4 of the board members there that attended. The Winter Symposium is by the Kentucky School Board Association, and it provides, you have to have educational, we have educational requirements every year. Some of us don't have as much. If you've been on the board a certain number of years, you only have to have, I think it's, I know, like for us, it's 10 hours. I think for you, is it 5?
4.
4.
Why you gotta call me outdoor?
Well, no, I'm just saying, I didn't mean to call you out. It's just, you know, you don't have to have as many because you've been on the board for so long. For example, I had to attend a finance, and I made it through the session. Finance it was interesting. It was something different that I went to. I work in foster care, and there were several offerings about working with foster children in the school system, and so that was new and different, and I enjoyed that. We had a guest, like during lunch, we had a great speaker, and it actually was a gentleman who talked about foster care. I was going to see what his name is. Ronnie Nolan of KECSAC, Kentucky Educational Collaborative for State Agency Children. So I had never heard of him, so I was real excited. But we also have to do superintendent evaluation, and you have to do ethics, and I'm trying to see what the other pieces are. So we went to that, we did that, and it's always a good offering, and so it's required. I do want to give a shout out to 2 of the vendors who are our vendors who assist with, I guess we had a program where we buy mattresses and beds for our students. Comfort and Process Solutions. I didn't talk to Jeff, who's over, but I talked to one of the gentlemen that works for them. But then Joe with Thermal Equipment Sales. So these are these behind the scenes vendors, and they both gave to that. So I told them I'd give them a shout out because they were really sweet to me. And the only thing with Joe is that he was a University of Louisville fan and had a Cardinal on his table, and I made sure to tell him that most of us are UK fans, and he turned the Cardinal around. And it was not our Cardinal, it was the Louisville Cardinal. There's a big difference in our Cardinal and the Louisville Cardinal. So, but that was it.
Ours is cooler.
Ours is much cooler. Yeah, much cooler. And like our preschool one's even better. So, but that is what we did, and always learn something new and interact with other board members, and it's a good time. They take good care of us at this.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have anything else under internal board business, so now we'll go to superintendent report.
So I gave a superintendent report, a fairly thorough one about the HR and the standards. This month, we only met 2 weeks ago, so I don't have a ton to update. But we will start focusing on superintendent leadership standards 5, 6, and 7 in the spring. So I'll give you guys examples of those. For the January meeting, I'm probably going to jump to influential because there's some things with the legislative session and the budget. So I plan to give you guys a presentation. So it won't be 2 hours, but 15 to 20 minutes because I think there's really powerful information when you start talking about funding and how we're funded and where the funding's come from, and when the budget for the next 2 years is going to be set by the legislature in accord, working with the governor. I really want you guys to have some information moving into that process. So more of a preview, so be ready for kind of a finance school funding 101 there in January.
Thank you.
Go Cards. I did say Go Cards. I wonder why you guys, we're still looking.
We were waiting. Yeah. All right, on to the consent items. Is there any items that board members would like to pull out, discuss, or any questions?
I would like to pull out the one about the boosters for the, is it baseball? Is there a baseball one for GRC? It's the booster agreements in there for the GRC teams. I've had a parent talk to me about being a member of the Boosters Club and talking about transportation to we approved an out-of-state trip for them, and talks that they're talking about just having parents drive down. And she was wondering if that if the cost isn't in, are we not required to help with the transportation? Shouldn't they go on a school bus, the students, and the parents drive separately, was basically what this parent was asking me about.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I just wanted to make sure I stated that. I don't know if there's an answer, you don't have to answer it. I just think that it would be good for that parent to have a clarification. And I know we have a lot of new coaches and new athletic director and all that. So they're just concerned because this is a new thing for them to drive their child down to the tournament and the child not be on a school bus, even though the child's a teenager, but still. So I'm stating that concern for you all.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, and again, Mr. Watkins, our district athletic director, I don't know if he has information, I don't have the information on it right now, so I don't want to speak
Exactly.
uninformed or ignorantly. But I do know the board policy is written in such a way that parents can transport them if it's their own parents, but I need to get some more details on that specific trip. But typically, a trip would include a bus cost if you're taking a bus for a week. The Board of Education doesn't typically do that for a spring break trip, for instance.
Oh, sure.
We do cover costs for state tournaments, state events, things like that as far as a group here. But the school or the booster group would then have to pay that, which is why they fundraise and do some of the other things to cover the cost of taking the bus. So just in general, that's how that works. So, but I have not talked to the coach, and
I don't have specifics. I think if a lot of the kids could provide, have transportation down there, then they would want to look at, that being part of the transportation costs. But if the majority were planning to go and able to do that, then I think, they may choose otherwise.
we also now have a couple of district bands.
That's what I was going to say. I have reserved the district bands that we have for up to 2 teams on spring break already. Because in case there were, some that weren't able to provide transportation.
So maybe after the meeting, I can just tell you which booster, which group it was.
Yeah, which they go.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you're welcome.
And just kind of hit me, this happened years ago when my daughter was playing basketball, but it seems like there is a policy too, if a student athlete rides a bus, goes to an event, unless there's a form that signs that their parent can take them from that event, they have to ride that bus back. Is that correct?
Correct. They have to sign them out. They have to sign out.
And if they're not
their
signed
report.
out, they can't go.
That's
They have to
correct.
ride the bus back.
Correct. It has to be signed out by their parent.
Just for liability purposes.
Yep. And the reason I brought that up is they were somewhere and they were going actually right past the house of the student, all the way back to the high school on the other side of town, when they, man, it doesn't make sense to do that, but they forgot to sign the student out, so. Okay, any other questions, comments? Do we have a motion to adopt the consent items?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Ritchie, I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Pass 4-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a
I'll
motion-
second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:43 PM.